What's going on, guys? I'm here with one of my clients, Andy, and what we're going to do today is just talk about how he's managed to take his already existing career in IT and kind of blend that with high ticket sales. And now he's not only continuing to make money from his full time job, but also making money on the side and really just amplifying his life in a number of ways. So, Andy, it's great to be with you today, and I'm looking forward to the conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Me too.
Cool, man. So just to give us some background, I know you're from California, but now you live in Nebraska. Tell us a little bit about like that move, and then also like I guess what brought you to me.
Yeah, man. So I kind of joke with my buddies. I got relegated to Nebraska. So basically, I lost my job in the beginning of 2023. I had a cleaning business on the side that wasn't quite working. I had a background in IT, and I just was applying. Finally, got a job that would be enough to like pay the bills but not thrive in Nebraska. So at least I was stopping the bleeding and saving a little bit of money. But so what I really still needed to make a lot more money than I was currently because I had from the time that I wasn't working, I racked up a fair amount of credit card debt. And so paying off just like 500, 700 a month, that really wasn't sufficient for me. So I saw Cam on Instagram and I was like, you know what? He says I can do this part time. I'll reach out and just kind of like see what's good with this. Um, I talked to him. It seemed to make a lot of sense. Went through with the program, and really, like, it was probably 6 weeks, I think. He got me a job, and in the first little bit, I mean, it takes probably 2 to 3 weeks before you really start ramping up, making good money once you're at the job. But I mean, I'm able to get away working somewhere 2 to 4 hours a day, and with commissions, I'm probably making about you know 1,500 a week, give or take.
Wow. So guys, and there's something that you just said there that kind of stuck with me, which is you racked up a lot of debt from not working, but you actually weren't scared to go into a little bit more to make a change because realistically whatever you were doing before was leading you down the same path. So was that like a scary decision for you? Were you able to make that pretty quickly or like did you take time to like think it over? Like what was that kind of thought process and why did you decide to like move forward even though you were already in some debt?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was like, what the fuck do I have to lose? Like, it's already gonna take me 3 years to grind my way out of this debt, and like, if I don't do something, I'm gonna be fucked forever. So like if I'm a little bit more fucked, like who cares? I'll just fucking like declare bankruptcy or just I gotta do something, I gotta take risks, and I have to take action in order to get to where I wanna go. And like really worst case scenario for me was bankruptcy or just like being poor forever because there's no real difference between not having money available and having credit card debt versus not having money available and not having credit card debt. So to me, it was kind of a no-brainer. It was like I really didn't have a lot to lose.
Yeah, absolutely. And I talk about this a lot too, where I'm like, if you look at the biggest things that people finance or like put on payment plans, you have college, which is 10x more than what I charge. You
Hmm.
have, and doesn't have a guarantee of anything, right? We all know that. Obviously, you came to me and you have an economics degree from a great school, right? Um, there's a mortgage, which is fine. Owning a house is another conversation, but it's what are you doing it for, right? Are you just going into debt because you want to own a house and tell your friends you own a house and not be a renter? What's
Hmm.
the goal? And like people finance wedding rings, people finance cars all the time and cars depreciate. So I think we're living in a generation where people are learning how to shift their mindsets and actually finance the right things. And I think you were one of those people that understood that. And I didn't really have to like convince you of that. I would say. I don't know. Did you feel like I had to convince you of that, or like how did you feel?
I mean, I That's a good question because we definitely talked it over. But I was in a pretty desperate place at the time, where I knew that I was going to take action on something, whether it be start another business or, a side hustle of some sort. And with any side hustle, it does take some initial investment. And the 3K that was your program, that was not compared to like what it would take to start a different business, which this really is a business in a lot of ways. You're an independent consultant. I think it really pales in comparison to alternatives.
For sure. Um, Talk about just the job now, the role I connected you with. Tell us about the company and like what does the company do? What's the structure like? And then also like what does your day to day look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So essentially, what we do is we will help accounting firms generate leads using LinkedIn automation. And so we have two programs. One is kind of a done with you, where we teach you how to set it up yourself. It's a one time fee. And once you have it, you own that completely. And it's your automated lead generation machine that you just have. The second option is we just do it for you. And then that's a little bit more pricey. It makes sense for kind of more established firms. And so that's what we ultimately sell as a business. I think what's really helped me that Cam taught me in my role is that's not actually what I'm selling. I'm just selling a meeting to see if it makes sense to do that. So what does that actually look like? As a company, we run Instagram DM ads. So basically, people will reach out saying, it's kind of, they press a button, they say, hey, like they say the word, and I'll be like, hey, kind of what's your biggest challenge with getting leads? They'll kind of like tell me what their challenges are. Usually it's something like they don't know where to go. They're focusing on like SEO or some bullshit that doesn't actually work. And then it's like, okay, well, have you tried this? No. All right, well, like, are you interested in just hopping on a call with a consultant to see like if this makes sense or not? And that's not a big ask. Uh, in it's people that are already thinking about doing something like that. So,
Yeah.
in terms of what do I get? I get a commission on every sale. And the close rate is about 40%. So the one downside is there is a piece that I don't have 100% control over, but I don't even have to get on the phone. Like I'm not the most social, most talkative guy. I'm in IT. So I kind of can get to hide behind my screen and do my thing, and I can sneak doing it at work. So it's really flexible.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think like like you just said, like the ask that you're trying to get from them is like they're already looking for help. It's not like you cold called somebody and they're like, "Hey man, like notice you have an accounting firm. This is what we do." Which look, that works in certain contexts, right? But like from a sales perspective, like if I spent my days just cold calling people and like hoping that would work, like yeah, I've gotten business from outbound. Nobody's saying that. But from somebody that wants to start out in sales, it's a harder thing to do, right? So,
So
um,
I don't know if I ever told you this,
hmm,
but my first job, it was actually in cybersecurity sales, and I was an SDR. It was 90% cold outbound to just like angry fucking CISOs, and like they weren't interested. There was almost no training, so I didn't know what I was doing, and I literally got fired in 3 months. And like after getting the training with Cam, and just talking to Cam on the conversation, um, it just was. I had the confidence that I needed to be able to know I could do this, and it was a totally different experience than what I think a lot of people think of when they think of like what sales is, what being an appointment setter is.
Absolutely. And I think like there's two different types of grind, right? Like you just described. And for people that don't know what a CISO is, do you want to explain what that is?
Yeah, Chief Information Security Officer, it's one of the worst jobs you can have. They get fired all the time, and they're always stressed and always angry. And the last thing they want to hear from is some fucking kid right out of college that doesn't know what the hell he's talking about for some product that they don't give a shit about.
Exactly, exactly. So guys, like sometimes you have to understand like there's really two things that we're trying to explain to you here. There's one, it's what are you actually selling? But two, what is the funnel in which you're attracting customers? And those are the companies that I am connected to where I can help you get into a position where you can continue to work your full-time job, start out as an appointment setter, talking to people that already want to book appointments. Not just cold calling a bunch of random people on a list, hoping somebody will take a meeting, even though they've never heard of you, know nothing about your brand or anything.
Yeah.
Um, and those are the right opportunities to me. Um, cool. So let me ask you this: do you like get a lot of objections in the DMs, or do you get a lot of people ghosting you, or like how do you deal with that?
I mean, honestly, that's the reality of sales. Like, I'm not gonna go and sit here and bullshit you and say it's fucking, everyone wants to buy and there aren't retards out there. Like, there's
Yeah,
literally people that'll be interested and then fucking like ghost you even though they really, really need what you're offering. Like, it's
of course.
it's kind of a joke to be honest with you.
Sure.
Especially with accounting firms because their accountants are cheap,
Yeah,
so it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, and it's not 100%. Oh, I just like send them a message and they book a call, but I think what you really have to realize is that it's a numbers game, right? So you get 20 DMs. I only Out of 20, I only need like five, six, seven to book calls. Out of those, I only need, um, you know, a couple of them to actually buy. And so when you realize that's what the numbers are, and like you'd be like, okay, I wasted my time with 15 people. How much time did I really waste? Maybe an hour with all 15. It's not that much time that I actually wasted. And then just not taking it personally. Like I didn't even get a chance to talk on the phone with these guys. I'm just texting them. Like
yeah,
half the time I leave fucking people that are selling me on red. So,
yeah,
it's just not taking it personal.
for sure. Um, I know this was supposed to be a shorter call, and I know you have stuff to do today, but one thing I wanted to ask is, or a couple more things, but first, I know you and I have very different sales styles. As me, as somebody who's been in the game for, I'm 30 now, so I mean, really 8 years in terms of like actual corporate professional environment sales. Um, I'm a little more blunt. I'm a little more assertive. I'm a little faster of a talker.
Hmm.
Is that mandatory in your eyes from what you've seen, maybe just in your skill development versus even other reps on your team or even the closers on your team? Do you feel like you have to sell like me, or do you feel like I helped you kind of find your style, or you kind of found your own style on your own through my kind of training?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I think everyone needs to find their own style. Like, if you can tell just even my cadence, it's totally different than yours, right? And I think there's different advantages. Like, yes, you're probably going to have a quicker response to something than I might, but kind of being a little bit slower, really getting in where I fit in. So I really try to like actually care about the customer, and people appreciate that, people like that, and people have a tendency to trust me maybe a little bit more than like a fast talking sales guy. So it's just different styles work for different people, and you really just have to find what what yours is. And Cam, I think that's something that you helped me a lot with. You were pretty transparent with me. Like you're like, dude, like you're not me. Like you don't have that style, but you can if you kind of do these things, you're still gonna be okay.
Yeah. 100%. And it's all about becoming the person that you are to the best of that ability. Meaning, for example, I have other clients that they're a little more like me, they're a little more fast talker, a little more quick to respond. And like I build them like me, but the way I kind of coached you and trained you and like developed with you is just an entirely different process. Like let's even say an example like would be on a management level, right?
Mm-hmm.
On my team, I manage people differently, right? Certain people need to be talked to in different ways. If you were on my team, I would manage you in a different way than I would Vic or somebody else that I've trained, right? Let me ask you this. How much do you think my framework applies to a wide variety of products? Because I think with like cybersecurity, like you said, it's so product focused that the training that actually you said you didn't receive, but like let's say they did train you at that company, do you think like you could have took that and applied it to a lot of other things, or was it just so product focused versus like maybe mine where it's like you have a framework to set in the DMs, it doesn't really matter what the product is, you could leave your accounting lead generation company, go sell a content marketing agency offer tomorrow and you could still do it? Like, do you feel that way, or do you feel like, yeah, talk about that.
I mean, I think if you compare what I experienced at the tech role, I mean, it was all like product centric, and I have technical aptitude, so I picked that up well, but I don't have a ton of natural sales aptitude. I took the job because I needed a fucking job. Now, with what you sold, like, yes, you have a relationship with the accounting firm, but you don't actually know the ins and outs of that business. What you taught me how to do was how to have a framework that works for getting people interested in solving their problem, and then applying that to whatever problem you're trying to solve, in kind of making people realize that they have a problem that needs to be solved, and it's not something that like it's okay just to be like, yeah, I know this is a problem, but like I'm not really going to do anything cuz I don't want to spend money, or like I don't want to take action, or just like whatever. It's getting people to realize that that problem is big enough, and it's not super important what that problem is. Like, I've heard you talking before, you use a similar framework in SaaS, right? And that's a totally different thing than high ticket consulting or lead generation, things like that. But at the end of the day, that framework still really can apply to whatever problem and whatever solution you have.
Absolutely. Absolutely. One more thing before we let you go. What are your goals from here? And like, what do you, I guess, like want to do with the new money that you're making? Do you want to continue down the path of potentially closing for someone else? Do you want to eventually start your own thing? Like, what do you want to do?
You know, I'm not 100% sure what exactly I'm gonna do long run. I mean, I think if if you look at the skill set that I have sales and IT, and that's kind of a rare combination, right? So if I go and I start an IT business and I'm competing with a bunch of like clowns in IT that don't know how to talk to people, I have a pretty good chance of winning. You know, I have a pretty good chance of outselling, out marketing the competition. And at the end of the day, that's what it takes to be a successful business owner. And like I'm pretty good at IT too, so I think long run, ultimately that's where this thing's gonna end up. Short term, I could see myself, staying in IT and then becoming a closer, sort of like taking nights and weekends, just because like that is a higher leverage opportunity. That's just the truth of the matter. It requires a little bit more experience, a little bit more skill. I'm new in the game, so I thought setting made a lot of sense. And it also gives you that flexibility. And I don't need that $10,000, $15,000 paycheck every month because I already have some money coming in. Um, and so I think that's really where it's going to end up. But we kind of got to see what step two out of three looks like.
For sure. Sounds like a great plan. Last thing, what would you say to somebody who I don't know if you would say I would say you were like skeptical, but like just a little hesitant to like rip that band-aid off and take that next step. What would you say to somebody who is in that position or is in that position today?
Yeah, I mean, I think my biggest concern going in was I didn't know if I was a salesperson, right? Because my one experience with sales, like I fell flat on my face. So I think it's realizing that this sale is not really what you think of when you think of sales. I think that is a major thing. And then also realizing, like, no matter how shitty you are at sales right now, if you actually have someone teach you how to do it, it's not rocket science. It's very, very logical. It's very, there's a playbook to it where it's like, if this happens, do that. If this happens, do that. Ask these questions. This is, and you know, kind of step by step how to get the job done. And obviously, it's not a perfect decision branch, but you Cam gave me a framework that I can put in place that where I'm always going to know where to go with any response that I get. And so that gave me the confidence that I really needed. And then also just staying kind of like protected behind a screen. I think that was a really big advantage to me. And so I guess if you're on the fence about like, is sales for me? I would highly recommend trying to, keep an open mind and just realize that like there's not a lot of ways to make good money in this world. There's really not. I mean,
Like, what are your options? Like, yeah, like it's like, bro, like
I
you
mean,
can
if
be an
you didn't, all right,
engineer.
let's look. Let's that's it. That's I love this question. What are your
Yeah.
actual options? Well, if you didn't go to Ivy League, you can't do consulting, you can't do investment banking, so we can cross those two out.
Done.
I mean, even now with AI, comp sci is cooked, so you can't go back to school and do comp sci. So really, you're only left with two options. One is starting a business. Well, if you start a business, you better fucking be able to sell, buddy. And then sales, which is just an easier in, right? The lower cost of starting up, quicker time to market. So, and then if you want to start a business in the future, you're developing the skills that you need in order to get there. Because if you can't sell, you're going to fall flat on your face in business.
Or you can go into 100K plus of debt to go to law school and then work your ass off for years to never have anything automated. Or you could go to med school, and I know a lot of happy doctors. It's just going to take you years.
And
So,
but like here, that's actually an interesting one. So I'm buddies with an orthopedic surgeon, and he went back to school, I think at 28. He's 45 now. And he's orthopedic surgeon. That's not like he's a fucking family doctor or something. That's a good doctor. He's a surgeon. And I mean, he's still paying off medical debt at 45. Like, he's stressing about sending his kids to college. And this is an orthopedic surgeon. And because it took him so long from the time that, like, from like the time and that it actually took him to start making money, I mean, he doesn't have a ton of money,
nah.
right? I mean, so sales, it's just the time to market is very, very fast, and it's kind of one of the
And it's
very
always, look, in our lifetime, not to cut you off, but in our lifetime, no one is going to buy an expensive product or service through a robot. Are you going to ever spend 10 grand plus talking to AI? No, not in this lifetime. It's just not going to happen. So look at all the options that we just discussed, guys, and understand that, like, A lot of people pick things for prestige too. Yeah, an orthopedic surgeon, bro, it's respected by anybody you tell it to, even if they don't know what it is. They heard ortho, which is a word they don't understand, and then surgeon, which they know is legit, right? So even an idiot respects them. But most people, when you say I'm in sales, they're just kind of like, okay, sleazy sales guy. Dude, I make more than most doctors. I make more than most lawyers. And how did I do it? I do it I did it by doing the thing that I now teach people how to do, meaning I actually did sell for someone else for years before having the courage, the confidence to start my own business, which I fell flat on my face twice doing, and now it finally worked, right? So it's like the skills that I've developed is what I'm downloading into other people to get the lives that they want in the most fast and cost-effective way possible with respect to the orthopedic surgeon who went from 28 to 45 and is stressing about paying off his kid's college.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, and here's the other thing, just with prestige, you know what's fucking prestigious, dude? Armani suits and Rolex watches.
simple. Fuck. Simple. That wasn't even, yeah, you already know. Guys, I don't even think we have to say anything else. Fuck the outro. We're done. You guys know what time it is. Talk soon.
Right. Talk to you.